This is the videotape deposition of Mrs. Ellen Cohen.
In the Circuit Court of the 15th Judicial Circuit in and for Palm Beach County, Florida, Probate Division, case number 502010 CP 004252XXXXSB, in re Estate of Alan Hames, deceased, Xylo Marshall petitioner versus Lois M. Hames as personal representative of the estate of Alan Hames and Craig Donoff as personal representative of the estate of Alan Hames, respondents.
This deposition is being held at U.S. Legal Support, New York, 425 Park Avenue on March 5th, 2014 at approximately 9:15 a.m. My name is Sally Brown from U.S. Legal Support, and I am the video specialist. The court reporter today is Allison Fowler, also from U.S. Legal Support. Would counsel please introduce themselves?
This is Attorney Matt Tornin-Casa of Shendell and Pollock PL on behalf of respondents Lois Hames and Craig Donoff as personal representatives of the estate of Alan Hames. Mr. Marshall, please introduce yourself for the record.
My name is Alan Marshall, representing myself as pro se petitioner in the estate of Alan Hames.
Okay.
Will the court reporter please swear in the witness?
Please raise your hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Ms. Cohen, my name is Matt Tornin-Casa. I'm an attorney. I represent Lois Hames. She is the daughter of Alan Hames. I also represent attorney Craig Donoff. They are the personal representatives of the estate of Alan Hames. We're here today to take your deposition for trial. We need to find out a little bit of information about the time that you spent with Alan Hames and just kind of get answers to some questions.
Okay.
We are being videographed today. We're also having testimony taken by a court reporter. In order to make sure things go smoothly, I want to give you just a couple of basic guidelines. The first is because everything that is being said is officially being taken down by a stenographer, nonverbal responses like head shakes or ambiguous responses such as uh-huh or uh-uh don't translate well. So if I ask you a question, to please answer with a yes or a no. Do you understand that?
I do.
Thank you. Also because...
Can you turn up the volume a little bit, please?
What was that, Mr. Marshall?
Turn up the volume or bring it closer to the voices so I can hear it. I can't hear that well.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think just bring the phone closer is probably going to be, because he's having trouble hearing us. In addition, because the stenographer is writing everything down, I'll ask you, in conversations, very easy, you'll know where I'm going with the question and you'll start to cut in with the answer. That can tend to make for a very rough record. So if I can ask you to please give me a couple of moments after to make sure my question is done prior to starting your answer. That way we have a nice clean record.
Okay.
We're here today to find out what you know. It's not a memory test. It's not an examination. It's not a quiz. So if you need to speculate or guess, just please let us know that you're speculating or you're guessing.
Okay.
You don't know precisely.
For sure.
My last request is sometimes I do ask a bad question. If for some reason you don't understand my question or you need me to clarify it, please let me know and I'll be happy to restate the question. The last thing I'll ask, and I'll ask you the same thing, is in order to give Mr. Marshall an opportunity to interpose any objections, after I ask my question, if you could just maybe wait about 1 or 2 seconds before you answer. That way, if there is an objection, he has an opportunity to get that out on the record and they all come out cleanly and smoothly and in order.
Okay, I understand.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Can we start with your name, please?
Ellen Cohen,
And Ms. Cohen, what is your address?
20 West 64th Street, New York, New York, 10023.
Okay. And how long have you lived there?
10 years, 3 months.
Okay. Are you employed?
Yes, I am.
Where are you employed, please?
Well, I'm a partner in a CPA firm, Shedler & Cohen, LLP,
And where is Shedler & Cohen located?
in Manhattan.
Okay. And how long have you been a partner there?
I've been a partner since 1995,
Okay. How long have you worked for the firm?
since 1993.
Okay. Terrific. And what do you do there?
I'm a CPA, I'm a partner, and we are business managers in the entertainment industry. We handle tax and accounting issues for
Okay.
individuals.
And I realize that this is the middle of the busy season for tax, and
It is.
I do thank you for your time today.
Okay.
Did you know the decedent in this case, Alan Hames?
Yes, I knew Alan Hames.
Okay. When did you first meet Alan Hames?
I met Alan Hames in 1977.
Okay. And how did you meet Alan Hames?
Alan Hames, my husband Henry Cohen worked with Alan Hames. Began working with Alan Hames just about the same time that I met Henry. And I guess Henry and Alan were working together for a short time when I was introduced to Alan. So it was the same. I know 1977 because that's when I met Henry, and I know that's about when Henry met Alan, and we met shortly during that time period.
Okay, terrific. So, and you knew Alan through his entire life?
From 1977, yes.
Forward. Okay.
Forward.
Terrific. How would you characterize your relationship with Alan Hames and your family's relationship with Alan Hames?
Well, primarily the relationship was through Henry. Henry and Alan
Okay.
were partners in business together, but on the other hand, we were family friends. Alan and his wife Carol participated in our children's bar mitzvahs. They came up from Florida, or they were in New York, and they attended them, and we socialized not on a regular basis, but every few years for sure. We'd have a dinner out, whether it was in New York or in Florida, but the relationship was mainly through Henry. Henry and Alan had a business relationship. I did not have a personal friendship relationship with them, but certainly very social and caring.
Okay, so would it be fair to say that there was regular contact between you and Henry and Alan Hames over the years since 1977?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. And I know you mentioned that you were at that Alan and his wife were at your children's bar mitzvahs?
Absolutely. Very memorable. They were fabulous dancers. People still talk, still talk about their fabulous dance.
Terrific. Have you ever lived in Florida?
No.
Okay. Alan lived in New York. Do you know where he lived in New York?
Yes, he lived at 210 Central Park South.
Okay. And do you know, was that a house or a condo?
It was a rental apartment. He
rental
rented an apartment there, yes.
Okay.
He and Carol lived there during the period, up until they moved out. I think the rent stabilization laws changed or something, and they had to, they didn't stay in. They terminated their lease and then moved to Florida. They also lived in West Hampton, had a small place there that was sold a long time ago.
When did they move to Florida, if you will?
It was before Carol's death, because when Carol died, they sat Shiva in a hotel room. So I don't really know when that when they left New York apartment. I don't know the date, but it was before Carol's death, because as I say, we went to the funeral, and they were sitting Shiva, he and his family was sitting Shiva at a hotel.
Okay. The issue in this case is a challenge to Mr. Hames' capacity or the possible undue influence by his daughter Lois Hames with regard to his current and operative will, which was executed in January of 2009.
Okay.
I'd like to kind of narrow the time frame, because I know you've known Mr. Hames for close to 30 years, over
Right.
30 years.
Yes.
In the last 3 or 4 years of his life, from about 2007 on, would you speak with Mr. Hames, or did you ever visit Mr. Hames? Do you have contact with Mr. Hames?
I visited Alan when he moved into his first residence after the apartment, when he moved out of the apartment on the ocean. I think it was a Hyatt, that's my recollection. It was one of these Hyatt residences, independent/assisted living. He was probably there about a year and a half, or two. I'm not sure of the date.
Okay.
I think he moved in 06. It was probably winter of 08. I'm not sure of the exact date, though, if it was late 07 or winter of 08. Henry and I went to visit Alan. We had We met him in his lovely apartment that he had set up beautifully with furniture and a lot of special belongings. He toured us around the facility. We had lunch in the dining room. He introduced us to some of his friends. People came over. It was a lovely visit. We were there about 2 or 3 hours. And as I say, Alan, he was introducing us to other people. He was,
Okay.
quite friendly.
So during that visit, did you observe any mental incapacity by Alan Hames?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Do you know Lois Hames?
Yes.
Okay. How do you know Lois?
I know Lois, through Alan.
Only through Alan. Okay.
Right.
Do you remember when you first met Lois?
That's a tough one. Many, many years ago, on a trip to California, my husband and I, we were out in California with the kids, and I'm pretty sure we visited with her for a short visit, but I didn't really have any involvement with Lois until the last few years.
Okay.
When she really stepped in to assist her father.
Okay. Did you ever personally observe, I guess, let me ask this a different way. Was Lois Hames present when you visited with Alan Hames?
No.
Okay. Did Lois Hames facilitate your visit to see Alan Hames in any way?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Henry was in contact with Alan on a regular basis at that point.
Okay. Did Lois attempt to interfere or prevent your visit to Alan
Absolutely
Hames
not.
in any way? Okay.
She encouraged us to be in touch with him.
Okay.
Encouraged Henry more than,
Did you ever discuss Lois with Alan?
Not to a great extent, except that she was very grateful for her assistance, particularly when he was alone.
Okay.
He was realized how much she was helping him and supporting him and encouraging him.
Okay. Did Alan Hames ever complain to you about Lois Hames taking care of him?
No, I never had a discussion with Alan about that at all.
Okay. Were you ever present for any conversations regarding Alan Hames' estate plan?
No.
Okay. Do you know Xylo Marshall?
Do I
The
know
petitioner?
him personally? No.
Okay. Do you know who he is?
I know who he is.
Okay. Can you explain to me your understanding of his relationship to Alan Hames?
Grandson.
Okay. Have you ever discussed Xylo with Alan?
No.
Okay. Do you have any knowledge regarding Alan and Xylo's relationship?
Personally, no.
Okay.
I never talked to Alan about anything other than having to do with, work or my own children or Carol or Henry. That was it.
Okay.
Henry had much more of a relationship on a regular basis with Alan.
Okay.
So,
Alrighty. How would you describe Alan's memory, faculties, and capabilities the last time you visited with him in person, this visit in winter of 08 or 07?
I thought he was healthy.
Okay.
His mind seemed healthy. As I say, we walked around the facility. He showed us all the, what it had to offer, and we had lunch with him, and he was pretty clear on the names of the people and introducing us. So I'd say it was, there were no...
So at that time, would you had concerns about Alan's ability to recognize his family?
No.
Okay.
No.
Would you have had any concerns about Alan's ability to appreciate the extent of his assets?
I think he understood exactly what his assets were.
The topic of his assets didn't come up, though. You're just generalizing.
Not at that date, no,
Okay.
no. Not at any time, really. I didn't
Okay.
really talk about his assets.
Okay. Did you ever provide any accounting services to Alan? Or?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
But not personal, only for property that he owned with Henry.
Okay. So it would be not so much for Alan as much as for a partnership that he had established.
Exactly. I did not see or have any inclination to or knowledge of his personal tax return.
Okay.
I would provide a K-1 to his accountant.
And when would you provide those services, if you recall?
Well, I'm still, because there is one partnership. There is the same partnership that is they own, Henry and Alan own.
Okay.
And I'm still do the tax return, and I do it in March of every year, and K-1s go to either Alan and now to the estate.
Okay. What's the name of this partnership?
Elka Associates.
And that's ELCA?
ELCA.
Okay. Have you ever observed Lois Hames threaten Alan Hames?
No.
Have you ever observed Lois Hames bully Alan Hames in any way?
No.
Have you ever observed Lois Hames attempt to manipulate Alan Hames in any way?
I never observed that.
Based on your knowledge of Alan Hames and his personality, did he strike you as an individual who could be manipulated or bullied? Tell me a little bit more about Alan's personality.
As I say, I really knew Alan through Henry, but Alan was a very sharp, very street smart individual with a very good head on his shoulders for business and deal making, and really mentored my husband and was not a guy who was ever taken advantage of or ever. I'm not saying ever because don't know every day of his life, but I would imagine he was always in control of the situation and made things happen. He didn't wait, things didn't happen to him, he made things happen.
Okay, terrific. I don't think I have anything further for you.
Okay.
Mr. Marshall, you're up.
Yes. Good morning, Mrs. Cohen.
Good morning to you.
My name is Alan Marshall, representing myself as a plaintiff in the case of Alan Marshall versus Lois Hames and Craig Donoff in the estate of Alan Hames. I am also asking you these questions in a telephonic deposition in California. Just want to inform you that the current lawsuit we started in September 2010. I'll be jumping around during this deposition. Do you consider yourself an honest, ethical person?
Absolutely.
Have you ever lied to anyone before?
Mr. Marshall, this moment, I just want to renew my direction to the witness. Ms. Cohen, if you could just please give me a second or two to place any objections on the record that are necessary before you answer. I know a lot of these questions, the answers are obvious, but I have to make my...
I'm sorry.
Not a problem.
I will do so.
Okay. Mr. Marshall, could you ask your first question again, please?
Do you consider yourself an honest, ethical person?
Okay, I have an objection to that question. I believe it's improperly questioning the credibility of this witness. It's not proper impeachment. It's improper bolstering. You're free to answer. You can
Yes, I consider myself an honest, ethical. Can you repeat your question?
Do you consider yourself an honest, ethical person?
Yes.
Have you ever lied to anyone before?
No.
I object to the question. I apologize. I just need a moment. Object to that question. It's improper character testimony that you're seeking to elicit.
No.
In the last 15 years, have you ever been arrested?
You can answer that.
No.
Have you ever been deposed before?
You can answer that.
No.
Okay. Have you ever testified in court before?
No.
Have you ever been a plaintiff or defendant in another case?
No.
Did you speak to Matt Policasa or Ken Pollack prior to this lawsuit? Prior to this deposition, prior to this deposition.
Yes.
How many times did you speak to either one of them?
Once to Matt.
Okay. How long did this conversation last?
10 minutes.
Okay. Since 2005, did you send any emails to Lois Hames?
Not that I'm aware, not that I remember, or
Okay.
not that I remember.
Okay. Since 2005, did you ever receive any emails from Lois Hames?
Not that I remember.
Okay. Did Alan Hames ever do anything to cause you to distrust him?
Can you repeat that question, please, Mr. Marshall?
Did Alan Hames ever do anything that caused you to distrust him?
I object. That question is vague and unintelligible. You can answer if you can.
Repeat the question once more.
Did Alan Hames ever do anything that caused you to distrust him?
No.
As we sit here right now, has Lois Hames done anything to betray your trust?
Objection beyond the scope of my direct examination. Improper character witness or improper character testimony is being called for here without proper predicate or foundation. You can answer if you can.
Repeat the question.
Hold on here. As we sit here right now, has Lois Hames done anything to betray your trust?
No.
Okay. Currently, do you have any new business ventures with Lois Hames?
Objection. This is not a proper cross-examination. It's a leading question. And beyond the scope, Ms. Cohen, you can answer if you can. Because this is, and Zyla, I'm just going to interrupt for a moment. Because this is for trial, I need to place my objections on the record. The court's going to have to determine whether or not those objections are valid. I just have to get them all out there. After I object, you're free to answer any question. You don't have to.
Okay, repeat the question.
Currently, do you have any business ventures with Lois Hames?
With Lois Hames directly? No.
Yes.
I have.
Would you consider doing? Go ahead.
The only business venture at all with the Hames is with the estate of Alan Hames, which I discussed earlier, Elka Associates.
Okay. Would
That's
you
not-
consider doing any? Go ahead.
No, it's not directly with Lois.
Okay. Would you consider doing any joint ventures with Lois Hames in the future?
Objection, hypothetical question, improper predicate. This is far beyond the scope of my direct examination at this point. Mr. Marshall, I want to direct you to move along, please. You can answer if you can.
I can't answer that.
Did Bella Marshall ever call you?
Yes.
How many times?
I don't know the exact number, but a number of times.
What did he call you about?
Objection beyond the scope of my direct. Mr. Marshall, you didn't notice this for your own deposition. You need to confine your questions to the issues that are raised in the direct examination here. You're going very far afield at this point.
Okay. Okay, what year did you first acquire your first partnership with Alan Hames?
Objection, there's no factual predicate to that. Ms. Cohen has testified that she does not have any partnerships with Alan Hames, Mr. Marshall.
Okay, so it's just Elka Associates?
If you can answer, you can. Did you understand his question?
What was the question?
Is Elka Associates the only partnership you had with Alan Hames?
It's the only partnership that is still in existence since Alan's death.
Okay. How many other partnerships, since 2003, how many other partnerships were you involved
Since when?
with Alan Hames?
Since what date?
January 2003.
Objection. This is far beyond the scope of my direct. This is irrelevant to any of the issues in this case. This is immaterial. This is harassing.
You can answer.
If you can.
Just Elka Associates since 2003. That's my recollection. I am not aware of or cannot bring to memory anything prior to anything other than Elka Associates since 2003.
Okay. From January 2003 to September 2010, how many transactions were you and Alan Haynes involved with?
Objection, irrelevant, immaterial, far beyond the scope of the direct examination. If you and Alan Haynes were directly involved in any interest, I
Nothing.
guess you could answer. If you weren't, you can answer none. Mr. Marshall,
Besides
is there a
Elka?
point to these questions besides harassing this witness?
Well, it's just about, once you got involved in these transactions, how many were sold in these transactions?
Nothing,
involving
nothing,
Elka Associates?
just Elka Associates. That's the only thing, and it was formed way before 2003. It is the only business relationship.
Right. Did you sell any property buy or sell any property in 2003 using Elka Associates?
No.
Okay. Do you have the Marshall exhibits folder in front of you?
2 FedEx files were received here, Mr. Marshall. Can you be a little more specific as to which one you're looking for?
Well, I thought they were combined. It's going to be Exhibit A. So I thought they were combined, but it's A through Q and R through Y. Just put them together.
Okay. Okay, I've handed to Ms. Cohen a FedEx file here which appears to contain a series of tabs A through Q and a second series of tabs R through Y.
Yes. Exhibit A is a Pennsylvania Department of Foreign Limited Partnership which was formed in March 8, 1988. Is that correct?
Objection, this document's been improperly introduced. Objection, this document is not the best evidence. Objection, this document contains hearsay, which is not within any of the recognized exceptions. Objection, this document is ineligible. Objection, there is no foundation. Objection, this is beyond the scope of my direct. Objection, this line of questioning is irrelevant. Objection, this exhibit is immaterial to any of the issues in the case.
You can answer.
What was the question? Repeat the question.
Okay, Exhibit A is a Pennsylvania Department of State Foreign Limited Partnership which was formed in March 4th, 1988. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Same objection and also leading.
Okay.
Mr. Marshall, can you do me a favor and speak a little slower because it's really hard to understand on the telephone?
Sorry.
Thank you.
Under general character of business, to acquire, own, hold, operate, maintain, lease, finance, or dispose of real property and any other act incidental or necessary pursuant to said for business and partnership agreement. Is that correct?
Objection, Mr. Marshall is testifying. Objection, leading question. Objection, this document is not the best evidence. Objection, this is irrelevant and immaterial. Objection, this document contains hearsay. Objection, this document has not been properly authenticated. Objection, this document is not the best evidence of its contents. You can answer if you can.
Yes, that's what this Exhibit A reads.
Okay, under that you are classified as a general and limited partner. Is that correct?
Objection, leading. Objection, beyond the scope of the direct examination. Objection, irrelevant. Objection, immaterial. Objection, this document has not properly been introduced. Objection, there is no foundation. You can answer if you can.
I'm listed, yes.
Okay. This is a yes or no question only. Is the legal address for Aces Associates in Pennsylvania?
Objection, leading question. Objection, the document speaks for itself. Objection, you're attempting to use Exhibit A to introduce hearsay. Objection, beyond the scope of my direct examination. Objection, irrelevant. Objection, immaterial. You can answer if you can.
The form does say application for registration, foreign limited partnership, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. The form does say that.
Is the legal address in Pennsylvania?
The legal address?
The
Objection.
legal address for business in Pennsylvania.
Objection, calling for hearsay. Objection, the document speaks for itself. Objection, seeking information beyond the scope of this witness's knowledge. Objection, irrelevant. Objection, immaterial. Objection, this document is not the best evidence of the information that's being requested. Objection, hearsay. I think I might have already said that one, sorry. An objection beyond the scope of the direct.
Now let's move on. Was Aces Associates Limited Partnership a part of the sale of any properties from January 2003 till May 2012?
Objection. There's no factual predicate for that question. Objection. That is a leading question. Objection. That is irrelevant to the issues in this lawsuit. Objection. That question is immaterial. Objection. That question is harassing. Objection. There is no proper foundation for that question. You can answer if you can, if you have that knowledge.
To the best of my knowledge, Aces Associate was dissolved in December of 1988. It was a dormant entity and never pursued any business.
So it was opened and closed in 1988. Is that what I hear?
Yes.
Objection, leading question. Objection, irrelevant. Objection, material. You already answered.
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
Okay. Exhibit B is a. Can we turn to Exhibit B, please? Exhibit B is a March 29th, 1988 application for registration to transact business in Michigan. Is that correct?
Objection, this document is not properly authenticated. Objection, this document is not the best evidence of the information which you're seeking. Objection, this document is hearsay and contains hearsay within hearsay. Objection, this document is irrelevant. Objection, this document is immaterial to the issues in this case. Objection, this document has not been properly authenticated or introduced. You can answer if you can.
That's what yes, Exhibit B, application for registration to transact business in Michigan. That's what it reads.
As in Exhibit A, Box 3 of Exhibit B also states as a general character of business to acquire, own, hold, operate, maintain, lease, finance, and dispose of real property. Is that correct?
Objection, the document speaks for itself. Objection, leading question. Objection, Mr. Marshall is testifying. Objection, irrelevant. Objection, immaterial. Objection, beyond the scope of my direct examination.
That's what it reads in number 3.
Okay. All right. Page 4 of Exhibit B has a signature. Page 4 of Exhibit B has the signatures of Ellen Cohen, Alan Haynes, and Alan Simmons. Is that correct?
Objection, leading question. Objection, not properly authenticated. Objection, best evidence rule. Objection, no foundation. Objection, irrelevant. Objection, immaterial. Objection, beyond the scope of the direct examination. You can
Hello?
answer if you can.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question?
Okay. Page 4 of Exhibit B has signatures for Alan Cohen, Alan Haynes, and Alan Simmons. Is that correct?
It does, but
Okay. Does this mean the three of you were the only partners with Aces Associates Limited Partnership?
First off, objection, irrelevant, immaterial, beyond the scope of the direct examination, calling for hearsay, violating the best evidence rule. This document has not been properly introduced. This document has not been properly authenticated. This document has there are no foundation for these questions.
It appears those are the three names listed.
Do you know when Alan Simmons died?
Objection, irrelevant, immaterial, and beyond the scope.
I do not even know Alan Simon.
That's okay.
Isn't Alan Simon in the as a partner with Aces Associates?
Objection. Ms. Cohen just testified she doesn't know Mr. Simon. Objection.
Okay.
The best evidence of this would be the corporate documents. Objection. The documents lack foundation. Objection. These documents have been properly introduced. Objection. This is irrelevant and immaterial beyond the scope of the direct examination.
Okay. Let's go to Exhibit Exhibit C. Exhibit C is a comprehensive report on you through private investigator William Dedman in California, which includes both personal and professional history. Please turn to page 3 under People at Work.
I'm going to object. This is irrelevant, immaterial, harassing, beyond the scope, and improper attack on the credibility of Ms. Cohen.
This is
This report that purports to be Exhibit C is hearsay and is hearsay on hearsay. None of the records which purport to be summarized in this report have been authenticated. They violate the best evidence rule.
Under People at Work, do you see a partnership called Aces Associates Limited Partnership? Under page 3.
Same objections.
no.
What about page 4?
I see my name, yes, at the bottom of the page, but the dates are irrelevant. There's
Do you
no.
see a partnership called Aces Associates Limited Partnership?
Objection, irrelevant, immaterial. Hearsay on hearsay, best evidence rule.
Yes.
Okay. Under People at Work, do you see a partnership called Elka Associates Partnership?
Same objections, irrelevant, immaterial, beyond the scope of the direct, harassing. Any reference to this accurate report is hearsay on hearsay. This document has not been properly introduced. There's no foundation established for the information that's purportedly contained in this report. There's no predicate for these questions.
No, I do not see Elka unless I don't see Elka listed.
Okay. Let's turn to Exhibit X.
Which exhibit was that, Mr. Marshall?
X.
Okay.
Are you there?
Yes.
Okay. Exhibit X is a partial 2009 tax return for Alan Haynes. Under Part 2, Number 2, what is the name of the partnership?
Objection. This is beyond the scope of the direct examination, irrelevant, immaterial, This document has not been properly authenticated. This is an incomplete document. This violates the best evidence rule. This document, to the extent that you're attempting to claim any representation on it, is admissible for the truth of the matter asserted therein, is hearsay. Ms. Cohen may not be competent to testify to this until you establish whether or not she prepared this document. To the extent that you're simply trying to read documents into record, Mr. Marshall, you are testifying, and that is objectionable as well.
You can answer.
Reads Elka Associates. Is that
Okay. What is the SEIN number?
Same objections. Hearsay, irrelevant, immaterial, beyond the scope, harassing, here's incomplete document, and calling for information which may be beyond this witness's knowledge.
I will read the ID number, 133362. It's a little blurry, but it looks like 534.
Okay, let's turn to Exhibit W.
Yes?
This exhibit states that there were no results for SEIN number 13-33625534 in the United States. Did you ever file a tax return for Elka Associates Partnership?
Objection. Compound question. The exhibit that you just referenced, Exhibit W, is not best evidence. It's unauthenticated. There's no foundation. You haven't established the facts which purport to be contained herein. It's hearsay. You are calling for Ms. Cohen to testify based on facts that are not in evidence. This is all irrelevant, immaterial, beyond the scope of the direct examination. This document violates the best evidence rule, and we object to any attempt to admit it during trial. You can answer if you can.
I will answer your question. I do, in fact, file a tax return and have since Elka Associates was created. I do not,
Okay.
or if I do not know from the top of my head the ID number for Elka Associates.
But you did file an Elka Associates Partnership tax return,
Right.
correct?
Whether this is the number that
Right.
it was filed under, I cannot answer. This could be, they may have typed, had an input error on the type on Alan Haynes.
Right.
This is not the Elka tax return. But I definitely
Okay.
filed and continue to file Elka tax returns.
Okay. Have you ever filed? Okay.
They could have typed it wrong.
Have you ever bought, sold, or leased property using Elka Associates Partnership?
Objection. No foundation. Mr. Marshall, you haven't established that Ms. Cohen is a member of Elka or is aware of its activities such that she could testify in response to that question. This
Okay.
is irrelevant, immaterial, harassing, far beyond the scope of the direct examination. And, I'm willing to tolerate this to a point, Mr. Marshall, but eventually we're going to get a judge involved if you don't take this back to the issues in the complaint very soon.
No, I am to be asking those questions if she was a partner with Elka Associates. I am to be asking those questions, but I'm going down this in the process. So, yes, I will be asking those questions.
You can try to tie it up however you want, but right now your questions are all irrelevant, immaterial, and are harassing of this witness who has graciously given us her time during her busiest time of year.
Okay. You can answer.
What was the question?
Have you ever bought, sold, or leased property using Elka Associates Partnership?
Same objections.
Elka Associates purchased one building when the partnership was created, and that is all that single property is the only property and still exists in Elka Associates.
What is the name, what is the address of that building?
Objection, irrelevant, immaterial, harassing, beyond the scope of the issues in this case, beyond the scope of the direct examination. If you have that knowledge, you can answer.
I just know it's in Pennsylvania. I do not know its exact address.
Okay. Matt, can you just do an objection without having to go through the whole process so that we can go through that in the court and you object and then you explain your reason why you object instead of having to do every single one using different formats for objection? Please?
If you're willing to stipulate that we have a standing objection to every one of your questions, that we can supplement for the court with a memorandum of law regarding why each and every one of your questions is objectionable from now through the end of this examination, I guess that's a reasonable accommodation.
Okay. Thank you.
With regard to the documentary evidence, though, I still need to get those out on the record.
Okay. Were you a part of doing articles of incorporation or foreign partnerships for Elka Associates Partnership?
I couldn't hear the question.
Were you a part of doing articles of incorporation or foreign partnerships for Elka Associates Partnership?
Objection. To be supplemented
Well,
later
I
for
wasn't the law. I'm not a lawyer. I didn't form the partnership.
Okay. Do you have any documentation that you were a part of Elka Associates Partnership, such as emails or letters?
Again, objection.
I don't understand the question. I'm sorry.
Do you have any documentation that you were a part of Elka Associates, such as emails or letters?
Same objections.
I don't have any emails or letters, but I am a partner in Elka Associates.
Did you ever send any emails to anybody regarding Elka Associates Partnership?
Same objections.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Let's turn back to Aces Associates. Have you ever discussed with Lois Haynes on the phone or emailed about Aces Associates Limited Partnership?
My standard litany of objections.
The only discussion we might have had would be related to the fact that Aces Associates was formed and dissolved in 1988, that it never acquired, owned, held, operated, maintained, leased, financed, or disposed of any real property. It never became an active entity. It never acquired or performed any of those acts that it had originally been established for, and therefore was dissolved in the same year.
Okay. Let's turn to Exhibit D.
Was that D as in Delta?
D as in Delta.
Okay, I've turned to Exhibit D.
Exhibit D is a filing endorsement through Michigan Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs for Aces Associates Limited Partnership. Did you close this partnership on March 5th, 2012?
Object. Best evidence rule. No foundation, irrelevant, immaterial, beyond the scope of the examination. Hearsay, hearsay on hearsay.
To the best of my knowledge, this entity was dissolved with the federal government in 1988. It came to the attention of the partner, I guess. It came to the attention of someone that there was an unfiled form in the state of Michigan. And therefore, in 2012, to tidy up the open record. But the partnership itself was dissolved or was dormant and never carried on business. So it was purely
You signed and closed this partnership to complete it with your signature. Is that correct?
What was that last word?
So you signed your signature to tie up and close down this entity?
Objection, leading, objection, improper cross, objection beyond the scope, irrelevant. Sorry.
I signed the document for purposes of, as you said, just tying up loose ends. The entity was a dormant partnership, and the state of
Okay.
Michigan required this form, and therefore
Why wasn't this, go ahead.
I signed it.
Why wasn't Aces Associates Limited Partnership closed in 2010 when your partner, Alan Hames, died?
We were unaware that there was loose ends.
Okay. Exhibit E is a comprehensive business report with private investigator Frank Roman that I received on December 15th, 2012, as identified in the upper left-hand corner.
Exhibit E, yes.
Page.
Mr. Marshall, we can't hear you.
Okay, are you okay? Page 2 of 4 has a corporate filing number. Under corporate filing number 1, what is the name type?
Objection, irrelevant, immaterial, beyond scope. This investigative report is an improper summary. The best evidence of this information is not being presented to this witness. This is hearsay. This is hearsay on hearsay. This document is illegible. The writing on it is so faded that it's impossible to read certain parts of it. This document appears to be incomplete. We object to any use of this document. And objection, lack of foundation, no predicate.
What was your question?
What is the legal address for this property? For this partnership, what is the legal address for this partnership?
It doesn't
Same
read.
objections.
It doesn't read a legal address. It just the address is a New York address. That was the
What is
attorney.
the address?
950 3rd Avenue, New York, 10022, and it's just a law. That's a legal address where the law firm who set up the activity.
Under the second to last section, it states, as of September 2nd, 2004, what is so particular about this address or this date?
Same objections.
Not offhand, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't even see
The
where.
last page under Dun and Bradstreet shows the annual sales in 2010 as $130,000 and shows a sales revision date of May 18th, 2012, and shows the Aces Associates Limited Partnership is a securities broker and dealer. Did you report any of this to Dun and Bradstreet?
Same
is not-
objections, is irrelevant, immaterial, harassing. Mr. Marshall, you're misreading these documents. These documents are illegible. You are attempting to lead the witness. There's no foundation. These documents have not been properly admitted. This document is a summary. It is an improper summary. It's hearsay on hearsay.
Okay, wait.
It's not the best evidence of the information which you are seeking.
To the best of my knowledge, reading this Dun & Bradstreet report, this is a different entity. This is an Aces Associates that was established in 2010. This is, I have nothing, I have no relationship with this entity, to the best of my knowledge. This is,
Okay.
they're a
Do you know a
different
gentleman by the
company.
name?
What was that,
Do
Mr.
you know-
Marshall?
Do you know of a gentleman by the name of Jeffrey Muelder? Moerdler.
Absolutely not.
Okay. Do you know of a gentleman by the name of Levine Mintz? Mintz.
Absolutely not.
Okay. let's turn to Exhibit H. Which is an entity information through New York Department of State, Division of Corporation for 210 CPS Associates LLC. You know of this LLC?
Objection. This document is not best evidence. This document is not certified. There's no foundation. This document is hearsay without being subject to any of the exceptions. It appears to be a summary document, which would be hearsay on hearsay. It is irrelevant, immaterial, beyond the scope. Mr. Marshall, at this point, you've spent close to 45 minutes harassing Ms. Cohen with irrelevant information. If you go another 10 minutes, we are going to call the court this morning, and we are going to bring this to his attention and allow the court to decide whether or not this line of questioning should continue.
Okay, this is about property at 210 Central Park South, Mr. Tony Costa. This is regarding the sale of properties from 2005 to 2012.
Mr. Marshall,
Okay,
it's already been established that Mr. Hames rented at 210 and did not own any property there.
I realize that. Just because you rent it doesn't mean you can own. The partnership for Aces Associates doesn't always talk about owning. It talks about leasing, financing, not just renting. Okay, so that partnership discusses other ways of owning property other than straight ownership by an individual.
Mr. Marshall, you haven't established that Aces Associates owned this property. We've now, with the assistance of the witness, established there's at least 2 Aces Associates in the world.
Right.
You haven't established that the proper Aces Associate owns this property. If you wish to question the witness about these issues, you need to do it correctly. You need to establish the predicate facts, which you have not yet done. You have not connected any of these facts to any of the issues in this lawsuit, which is about the testimony capacity of Alan Hames and your allegations that Lois Hames unduly influenced her father to change the will.
Right. This deposition is not about Alan Hames' testamentary capacity, because this deposition, Ellen Cohen was not involved into his ability. This deposition is more or less about Aces Associates Limited Partnership and Elka Associates Partnership. And you flew down up to New York for this reason only. Okay, you did not fly up to New York regarding Alan Hames' capacity to make his own decisions, because she was never involved with that. She does not know Zara Marshall. She does not know very much about Alan Hames' everyday situation in Florida. Okay?
Mr. Marshall,
Can I repeat, though? I want to make a statement. Aces Associates never owned, and that really pretty much explains my situation. Aces Associates never owned, acquired, held, operated, maintained, leased, financed, disposed of real property or any other acts incidental or necessary pursuant to said business and the partnership agreement. It was dormant. It was a dormant entity. It was never an owner, a leaser, an operator, or any other thing of 210 Central Park South or any other property for that matter. So I've established that.
Okay, let's turn to Exhibit F, which is another report from private investigator Frank Roman, as in the Articles of Incorporation for Aces Associates in Exhibit A and B. Exhibit F under Associated People, Ellen Cohen, Alan Hames, and Alan Simmons are the business contacts. Is that correct?
same objections. This is harassing, irrelevant, immaterial, beyond the scope of the direct. This document is not best evidence of the information which you're seeking to call into the record. This is an improper summary. This purported exhibit is hearsay. It's hearsay on hearsay. It's not the official business records. It's an improper summary. There's no foundation. It's not been properly authenticated. And we object to any use of this document.
My name is, yes, my name is listed.
Okay.
But it was a dormant entity. I will repeat that again to you, Xylo. It was a dormant entity. It was in existence for 1 year, 1988. Final tax returns were filed. It was dormant. It did not own, lease, acquire, rent, anything.
Okay. Let's turn to number 4 of page 2. Do you know the sale on April 30th, 2008?
Same objections, irrelevant,
What is this?
immaterial, harassing, beyond the scope of direct, no foundation, improper summary, hearsay, hearsay on hearsay, not the best evidence, no foundation, no predicate.
I know I have no privy or no information concerning 210 Central Park South, or whatever that is, 210 LLC. I have absolutely no involvement, never have, in any capacity through any partnership or individual for 210 Central Park South or 210 LLC.
Okay, so you don't know anything about Aces Associates. You know nothing about any property being sold at 210.
Excuse me? I know Aces Associates, I do.
I'm sorry, can I interrupt you? Objection. That was a blatant mischaracterization of her testimony. Her testimony was very specific that she knows about Aces Associates, that it was organized to acquire property, it was subsequently did not acquire property, and it has had no active operations since its organization. I resent your attempt to recharacterize that statement into a blatant statement that she has no knowledge about any aspect of Aces Associates, Mr. Marshall.
Okay, all right. Give me a few more seconds here. I think since she doesn't know much about any sales of any property at 210 Central Park South, give me a second, please, so I can look at my notes and I'll have to ask the same question over again, okay?
You can take as much time as you need, sir.
The time is 10:16 a.m. and we are going off the record.
Okay.
The time is 10:17 a.m. and we are back on
Do you
the
know
record.
anything about Allmark Holdings Company?
What was that, Mr. Marshall?
Do you know anything about Allmark Holdings Company, Inc.?
Objection, irrelevant, beyond the scope, immaterial.
No, I do not.
Let's turn to Exhibit P.
P.
Okay. Exhibit P is a Department of State division of corporation which states that no business entities were found for Elka Associates.
Objection.
Did you ever...
Oh, sorry. Finish your question first.
Go ahead.
No, please finish your question so I can get all the objections out at once.
Did you ever communicate with Sherry Cohen, attorney for Craig Donoff? Did you ever communicate with Sherry Cohen, another attorney in Craig Donoff's office, regarding Elka Associates?
Objection, that's compound. You started with an exhibit and you ended with something completely different. Objection, irrelevant, immaterial, beyond the scope of the direct examination. Objection, that exhibit is hearsay. It contains hearsay on hearsay without being subject to any of the exceptions. That exhibit is not the best evidence available. It has apparently been modified. In addition, I can't really tell if that's your notes or if that's a printing error there, Mr. Marshall. There's no foundation for this question. It's improper predicate. This evidence has not been properly introduced. It's not of record. You can answer if you can.
I don't even know what the question was.
Exhibit P is a Department of State division of corporation which states that no business entity were found for Elka Associates. Are you aware of that? With this documentation, does that show that there is no?
Well, I don't know what
document?
I don't know where this was printed from, but Elka Associates owns a property in Pennsylvania, as I already.
Okay.
So its source income is the state of Pennsylvania, and therefore
Okay.
I don't know what I don't know what this is telling what this is statement is
Right.
about.
Did you ever communicate with Sherry Cohen regarding Elka Associates, an attorney in Craig Donoff's office?
It's possible. I don't remember names, her name necessarily, although I did have some, because for purposes of preparing and Elka tax returns, I might have spoken to someone at Craig Donoff's office. Cannot remember her name or his
Let's
name.
turn to Exhibit K. Which is an email you sent to Sherry Cohen
Okay.
in Craig Donoff's office.
Right. Great.
Okay.
Then that was her name. You're correct.
Right. Did you send this email to Sherry Cohen?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And the balance of this partnership is $56,420.50 for Elka Associates. Is that correct?
At that date,
Objection, calling
Yes.
for hearsay. The document speaks for itself. This is, again, irrelevant, immaterial, and beyond the scope of the direct examination.
but yes, that's what on that date.
Yes.
Yes, that was those were the dollar amounts in the accounts.
Isn't it true half of $56,420.50 is $28,210.25? Isn't it true that's half of what $56,420.50 is?
Objection leading, objection irrelevant, immaterial, beyond the scope. The math is self-explanatory, Mr. Marshall.
What?
Is there a point to this question, sir?
How can $7,457.78 incur?
When did Alan die?
He died September 2010.
So you're talking about two dates. At the total balance at his death, which I didn't put the date, but it says that Alan's death was 35,000 and change. But as of the date of that letter, December 9th, it was 56. So you're talking 2 months difference.
Okay. How can interest of $7,457.87 incur from September 2010 till December 2010?
Mr. Marshall, objection, irrelevant, immaterial, beyond the scope. You're assuming facts not in evidence. There's nothing in this exhibit or document which suggests any sort of interest. If you're going to represent yourself, you need to conduct yourself as close as possible as a lawyer, Mr. Marshall. You
This is the
can't.
last question, Mr. Tonacasa.
This is a rental.
last question.
This is a rental property.
What was the rental property?
Elka Associates.
Okay. All right, nothing further. Thank you.
Just a couple recross questions, Ms. Cohen. Do you have any special affinity or special hostility in favor of or against Lois Hames or Xylo Marshall?
No.
Okay. And just to clarify for the record, did Ace's Associates ever have any formal operations?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Nothing further. Thank you for your time today.
You're welcome.
The time is 10:24 a.m. on March 5th, 2014, and this completes the videotape deposition of Mrs. Ellen Cohen.
Thank you.